What's happening, everyone? It's Zigzag here. Welcome back to another Geoguessr video. Today we are doing some Guess the ELO in Geoguessr. I've got 3 games sent in by fans, and for each game I'm going to be guessing how many games played the person has and what number ELO they have in Geoguessr Duels. This was a lot of fun last time, and I got a lot more submissions, and crucially we got an upgrade this time. In the top left-hand corner of the screen you can see that the profile picture of Jimmy is actually obscure, which means I can't see his experience level, which is just fantastic. It means I'm going to have a pure and unadulterated opinion of his gameplay here. So starting off here, we have a Czech crossing sign there, and of course Czechoslovakian bollards, so we should get a good idea of how good Jimmy is just based on this first round, I think. There's a lot of clues for Czechia here, but the main one just being this this crossing sign with the 5 kind of close together. Actually, it might be 6 dashes there, but normally I think it's 5 in Czechia, and then you have this kind of smaller guy, and he looks a bit more buff. He looks a bit more buff than the Slovakian one, I think, which is the best way I remember it. But anyway, he is thinking of Greece here, or Croatia, or Slovenia, so he doesn't know bollards. That immediately makes me think probably somewhere less than 800 rating here. Serbia is actually not a bad send here, but the opponent doesn't get it either, so immediately feeling like both players kind of a bit lower ranking than what we've seen maybe in the last episode here. Okay, round number 2 here, it's rural. That's going to be interesting. Will Jimmy have any idea here? To be honest, I'm not sure about the country myself yet. I thought of Asia, definitely with that car looking kind of Asian, so maybe Philippines or Indonesia or something like that. This looks like a Thai sign, actually. Yes, this one's going to be Thailand. Actually makes sense because in Thailand you can't see the Google car very often. And so he's thinking Cambodia, most likely here. Should be Thailand, though. Ends up being just near Bangkok. Both players go for Cambodia, but all things considered, 200 kilometers away. Not actually a bad result. Fairly low points scored so far in the game, but I feel like this is only a 6-minute duel, so it should pick up fairly soon. This one's going to be some Greek, so obviously most players I feel like going to be able to recognize the Greek alphabet's quite distinctive, even from Cyrillic or something like that. And we have, we had a no blue strip plate there, but it just ends up being on the mainland near Thessaloniki there. So Jimmy taking an early deficit of points here, but we'll see if he's able to come back here. So if Jimmy watches most of my videos, he'll know to go somewhere in New Delhi here, and it seems like Jimmy does know it. That's good, and both players go there, so it seems to be well known amongst the Geoguessr community now that you should go New Delhi when you have the wide blur India these days. Okay, but still been pretty standard stuff. Do play along in the comments, by the way. Play along, leave your expected ratings for each one, but when we get to the end of each game, and see how close you get compared to me. And also, give the video a like if you are enjoying. Helps me out in the algorithm. Would be much appreciated if you could do that now. But okay, this one is, we do have what looks to be an A and an E connected together, which should be Denmark, and then also this kind of low to the ground sign. That combination should always be somewhere in Denmark, and I don't mind this guess, especially on the healing round. Just kind of hedging there is going to be a good idea, I think, and it ends up being really close indeed. In that town there, so going to be basically getting the maximum amount of points, and now the health is basically even, so a really good result there for Jimmy. Moving forward to 1.5 times damage, should be Finland. Oh no, it's Generation 4, so I guess Sweden then. We have Swedish/Norwegian Snowpole there, but I doubt at this level Jimmy would know that unless he's from that part of the world. But okay, he's feeling fairly confident here. Decides on Norway, but obviously Norway and Sweden are so close together that this shouldn't be too bad. I would say it's probably further south than where he's clicked, but honestly that is pretty reasonable. Hey, check it out. I'm pretty sure he's actually gotten rid of, using inspect element, has gotten rid of the profile pictures maybe. That's kind of interesting. But anyway, I kind of got distracted there. Let's actually see what the result was. So ends up being in southern Norway. So I actually kind of thought Sweden there, but yeah, it was southern as I expected. And we move on to some Australia maybe, or is it just Europe? It might actually just be like somewhere in Spain or something. Yeah, I think it's going to be Spain or Portugal. We have black and white chevrons here. So black and white can still be Spain, but this style looks more, with the single chevron, looks more Italian, I think. So maybe Sicily, or maybe even on Sardinia is possible here, I think. Also, cacti are quite common on Sardinia, so that's what I'm kind of thinking of here. Black back of the sign as well for Italy. So this is all meta that you would know if you're a bit more experienced. Soveria. So tell me it doesn't go Slovenia. That would be a bit of a disaster. Can this still be Spain? I'm actually not sure. I'm pretty sure with all these clues we've seen so far, this should just be Italy. And also the DI word. The word DI is very Italian, that's for sure. So, okay, goes in here, still thinking, ends up opting for Madrid there. The other player does get Italy, but in a really bad Alps guess there. And Jimmy clearly not very happy with the guess. Doesn't lose too many points though. 2.5 times damage now. Anything can happen. This looks like Singapore, does it not? I could be wrong about that. Actually, it might be just Australia, I think. Yeah, it looks like Australia. I guess if it looks kind of tropical, then it might be Brisbane here. Does kind of look like Brisbane, although I could see Melbourne as well. We got blue number plates on some of these, so maybe it's just Melbourne. Didn't see anything that I actually think is like state specific yet, and I have noticed that oh, we have a Melbourne now. We do have a Melbourne. This one I would not expect Jimmy here to know, but just next to my webcam here, you can see this white with a blue square in the center, and that is only found in Melbourne. It's the only place in the whole of Australia where you see that. So very nice to keep in mind, but yeah, again, not really the type of knowledge I would expect Jimmy to have here. So he's thinking of Norway. I mean, of Singapore here. Can he figure it out, though? We have a white person there. That could help. Melbourne City. Oh, yeah. Melbourne City movers. Let's go. That's exactly what we needed right here, Jimmy. And hopefully, I mean, it did... I kind of agreed with Singapore off the bat here. So hopefully maybe our opponent here has not thought of Melbourne and goes somewhere different. Because Australia is that big that if Pedro even goes Sydney here, the damage is potentially knockout damage. Or not quite, but almost. So if he goes Brisbane, then it really is knockout damage. Looking at the Tesla, maybe Jimmy is a Tesla fan here. And yeah, the opponent goes Sydney, which I mean, maybe a bit of a stroke of luck here that Jimmy gets that. But it is 4.6k as I predicted. Very high damage there. So, Jimmy definitely not a terrible player, but definitely lacking in experience as well, I would say, is what I'm kind of getting here. This one is going to be somewhere in Chile, white Google car, all white road lines, right-hand drive, all that kind of thing. Very hilly here. Would say this is probably south of Santiago, just based on how green it is. And we have place names here. Penco is kind of bigger, I think, and I forgot what the other one was, but oh no, we're looking in the wrong part of the world here. We are. So doesn't know the white road lines. Wow, click, Jimmy, no. Okay, Jimmy actually had his cursor on the exact spot where it ended up being at the wrong second, at the last second there. So if he had just clicked, it would have been fine. He would have probably won the duel there, but unfortunately he loses it. So there we go. That is all we get here. So now let's go out of this and check out the profile. So my prediction here is that Jimmy would be 550 rated or 600. I think 550 rated, and with a total games between duels and normal games, a total game count of maybe 220. Let's see how close I am here. So will he actually be as I suspect? So he's actually 729, so I was actually a fair way off there. And his total completed games is between normal ones and duels is going to be about 350 instead of did I say 250-ish? I think I said something in the 200s. So yeah, I mean, not too far off. But actually, not that. I mean, not that accurate either. So it is kind of harder to tell without the borders. That's definitely something I've noticed. But well played to Jimmy, and that's no me predicting that you're lower than you are. Is no diss to you because I'm still kind of learning these lower ranks. So well played, and thank you for sending in with everything edited out. So that's really nice. Next one here we have one from David Guzzle, and this one is quite a fair bit shorter. Is Guzzle a Austrian name? I heard that the Austrian names often leave out the E or something like that. That's what my German friend told me. So anyway, let's head into this one, which is a fair bit shorter, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the skill's low. It just means that some good guesses were made. Or some bad ones. So we're against Jeremy here, and we're starting off in what looks like maybe is it Albania or something like that. Couldn't quite work it out yet, but it's definitely Europe somewhere. Or is it just Switzerland? I think we have kind of low to the ground camera here. Yeah, I think this is Switzerland, right? But that does not look like Swiss language, so maybe I'm wrong. But look at this yellow pedestrian crossing, as I've said in videos before, it's very Swiss, so that's kind of what I'm thinking here. But it is actually Turkish, so it wasn't low cam at all. I mean, like, just going back here, it kind of feels, I think because the camera's tilted a bit, that's why it feels low cam. But okay, that makes sense, yeah. It didn't really look that Swiss, I guess. And we learned that Turkey also has yellow pedestrian crossing signs, so or pedestrian crossings, so that's kind of interesting. I would say this is probably very west, yeah, because it looks so much like Europe, but actually it's very east. Okay, so I would have gone badly here, but both players just get an anchor, so it's really no skin off their backs. And we move forward to the next round here, which looks a bit like Russia, maybe? Kind of hard to tell. But as we load in here, so yeah, it would appear to be somewhere in Serbia. Novi Sad is in Serbia. These Poles holding up the sign here, they might be Serbian. I think I've heard something about that, but could be wrong, so don't quote me on it. Anyway, this is fairly flat, so I'd expect it to be northern. Novi Sad is there, so that's going to be good enough guess. I imagine we're not going to be too far away from there. And yeah, what else can we say about this one? Fairly standard. We have the B profile guardrail with the kind of flat bits on either side here, so that is definitely very Serbian. And apart from that, pretty standard round, I would say. So both players should get close enough here, I imagine. Okay, we have a Ukraine guess there, so this immediately makes me think that we're in lower elo just because of the opponent's guess. Nothing David's done so far has made me think he was a less skilled player, but that opponent's guess probably indicates that the opponent, at least, is lower ranked here. So, next one here looks like somewhere in Thailand, I guess. We got Thai language here. It's not what I was going to say, but that definitely makes sense. I don't know, I guess with all these oil palms, maybe southern is more likely, but I couldn't quite tell you where I exactly think this is. But with this language, both players should get it. Just going near Bangkok seems reasonable, but yeah, it is near Phuket instead in the south, and so a little bit of damage here, but fairly in the balance here. Both players, yeah, getting a pretty standard round. The hard rounds are really where we discover more, but the hard rounds are kind of few and far between on this map, I would say. So next one, here we have these Czech-style signs with the kind of arrows pointing out at them, the black arrows. Could it be anywhere else? I guess I'm not 100% sure yet. Maybe you can find this elsewhere. But the language also feels kind of Czech to me. We are near Bratislava, but hopefully our guy guesses in Czechia here. I don't think he will. I don't think David quite knew about those signposts, but oh, he does. Okay, so he's used actually the other sign names, and David definitely seemed like a stronger player than his opponent here. Definitely, that's the way this recording makes it seem. So maybe it's going to be over soon. But the opponent does survive to the healing round. So okay, this is nice and rural. We get to find out some of David's skill here. I think he's going to go quickly for Estonia here. Not a bad guess, honestly. It could be Estonia. I thought kind of Russia, or more so off the bat here. But I guess we'll take a look at the ballads here. They're going to be like, are they Latvian or maybe even Estonian here? Maybe they are Estonian. Yeah, it was Estonia. What a really great guess there. And obviously going to heal up all the way to full health there. You know, that's hard to tell if he was just kind of punting and going as quickly as he could, or if that was actually a read. But definitely a good guess nonetheless. I think this is Hungary now. Hungary definitely commonly has these like avenues of trees either side of the road, so I could definitely say that. And our opponent's guessed here really quickly, so definitely wanting to put on the pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to go like somewhere in Russia or something like that, though. No ballads, no nothing, no houses. This is gonna have to be a vibe guess. Hungary gets it. Okay, so I'm really feeling. Oh wow, it was actually Romania. Okay, or even Bulgaria. That makes sense as well. So well, it's just enough to take him out. So there we go. I mean, but to be fair, if I was thinking Hungary there, I think Hungary's not a bad guess, obviously. And France wasn't impossible either, but yeah. Normally I think France would have outside lines. Anyway, so now we have to evaluate David Guzzle here. To be honest, the quality of the opponent makes me want to lowball here. But David played really well, so maybe he was just playing someone who was 100 or 200 lower than him. Or maybe he's just cherry-picked a really good game. That's kind of hard to tell. What was his big mistake? I don't think there was anything big mistake-wise. I mean, the turkey guess wasn't ideal, but neither was mine. So, I think I would have to go maybe 708. I'll go 825 here. No, 850. I feel like 850 because the vibe guesses were pretty good. Now, I'm worried about this guy. This guy felt more like a 600 player, but I think 850 is going to be good. And then total games played, maybe 400 between the two. So let's find out if we're correct about that. Here we hit up the link here, which is in the description. And we actually have 641 here. So definitely, and wow, look, quite few games played. So I guess 400, it's more like 200 there. Yeah, about 200 less this time than what I expected. So there is a lot of variance at this level, and I would say David probably would not always play that well. This is probably a selected game to make him, or that made him look quite good, I will say. I would say that in a one-on-one, David definitely appeared to do better than our last guy, who was over 100 rated plus. So that's why I think it would be interesting to get some of these guys together and see who would actually win in the few duels. But that was certainly interesting, and I would say that David may have overperformed there, or he just doesn't play enough, and he could probably get higher if he tried. But that is interesting, and we have our final one here from Epic Cheese Cat. Let's find out what happens in this 5 minutes of gameplay here. So we're starting off here with some graphics. Wow, Epic Cheese Cat has put in the effort here, and we're starting off in Europe. This is immediately an interesting looking round. I would say with this language here should be like Sweden or Norway or something like that. We have yellow in the line, so yeah, it should be somewhere in Norway. I always forget that Norway also has the A with a dot on it. And look at this editing. This is high production value right here, and good old Epic Cheese Cat has put in a lot of effort to hide the profiles, so that's very good. Next one here, we have red soil. Probably going to say it's Malaysia or something like that, but oh wow, it's actually going to be somewhere in Nigeria with the police follow cars here and the really wide blur. Nigeria is a country that basically always on highways has a separated highway, one side and the other separate. And so that is a good way to distinguish from Ghana, where that's quite rare, I would say. And so, yeah, we're looking at a pretty standard one here. Should be semi-southern because of the kind of darker red soil and the greenness of it. And it is a good guess here. And our opponent goes in Senegal, so immediately feeling maybe a little bit lower rated for that reason as well. Okay, next one is going to be somewhere in where? I mean, a lot of HP has been lost, but this is still a 5-minute duel, so it definitely goes the distance. Ooh, okay, thinking of Colombia, this is a good guess, This makes a lot of sense with this landscape, should actually be Colombia. We've got the stubby antenna as well. So I really think that was the most impressive thing we've seen so far from Epic Cheese Cat here, where they've really nailed that quite quickly, and just based on a landscape, which I felt pretty good about. So opponent also gets it. That's a good strike for the opponent, as in I'm starting to think that both players might be a little bit further up in the ratings this time. This one should now be in Senegal, I imagine. We have the big new Google car, a metal pole there, which kind of looks Senegalese as opposed to the other countries. And I think the big thing here is that we have these outer dashes here. So that is probably the big thing here. And for some reason, Epic Cheese Cat is lagged out there. But okay, we're back. And Senegal is looking like it's going to be the play here, which is good. Should be relatively close with this guess, I imagine. And it ends up being all the way south, past the Gambia there. So neither player picking that up, to be fair. I'm not saying I did either. I was thinking that their guesses would be at least decent enough. The next one here is going to be somewhere in Finland, I imagine, or could it be elsewhere? A really fast guess there, I guess. Epic Cheese Cat realizing that they're on 6,000 health has gone straight in here. And it is actually going to be Finland, and so it's going to be 800 points gained for the opponent there. And so the duel continues here. Will we get some hard rounds to distinguish the players, or will it be a lot of urban stuff here? We have .hu, and if this is going to be somewhere in Hungary, it basically has to be Budapest, I reckon, because, yeah, it feels like a big city, and Hungary doesn't have the biggest cities apart from Budapest, so that makes sense. Next one here, double damage, round 7. And we're looking at maybe some Ghana action here, I would say. Yeah, we have Ghana. This one is a separated highway, actually, interestingly. But I feel like most of the time that's less likely. Is actually Accra. I thought it might be further north there because of the dry vibe, but yeah. I guess if you're in like one of the biggest cities in the country, then it makes sense to have a divided highway. Okay, next one here is 2.5, and we haven't moved much since the healing round, so this should be interesting. We have here some Portuguese bollards here, and let's take a look at this. If he okay, he's gone the wrong direction here, but yeah, I would like it if Cheese Cat turned back here so we could see the chevrons. Okay, they do return down this direction, and we can see these black and yellow chevrons. So I imagine that this just has to be Portugal, right? Am I missing something? Because out of the Mediterranean countries, I think they're the only ones that use that. And also this terraced farming is definitely something you do see in Portugal. So I don't think it can be greased with these chevrons. Normally they would be white and black. So yeah, I think Portugal is the right call here. And actually, getting the round here off relatively few clues, I would say. So feeling good about cheese's rating here. It is northern Portugal, which makes sense with the kind of greenery we had. But 900 points damage is pretty good there. We move forward to round number 9 here, which is Mongolia. Now, the game could easily end here, so let's see what happens. Yeah, Mongolia is definitely difficult to region guess without a lot of meta, because, well, we actually have a big sign here. I think this is a mistake, not checking out the sign, but okay, both players just go for Ulaanbaatar, kind of a predictable little round there by the world map Duels players, but it's a reasonable tactic. If you think your opponent's going to go for there, just go there yourself, and you shouldn't lose the game at least. The next one here is looking like maybe some Denmark action here. We have a Danish bollard. Going in for the guess here, Central. Kind of makes sense here. I think that's a decent guess. I mean, I wouldn't... Ooh, switches to Belgium. Did I? Okay, we actually do have some French there. I sometimes do mix up those two bollards, and to be honest, with the landscape, definitely makes sense. Actually, a French guess from our opponent there, who, for some reason... I mean, sometimes you do get different bollards in France, but most times you just have the normal French ones. So, not really a bollard knower. So, again, this is kind of a difficult situation. I'm not really sure... It's a small sample size, only 10 rounds there, but I'm not really sure how high cheese should be. Now, the most impressive round was the Portuguese one, because I don't think cheese found any language there. So that is actually an impressive landscape guess. Some of the other ones, fairly standard, not too much to actually pick up. For example, on .hu, like, sure, anyone can get around like that. So I'm thinking that cheese might be kind of in that 750 range, maybe even 800. Yeah, I think so. I mean, the opponent was definitely being put under the pressure that time, so it was a little bit different to the other games, where cheese and the opponent were guessing quite quickly, really. So I want to say cheese is actually 815. 815 rated, 816 rated, let's go that. And with a total games of 350, or, yeah. 300 total games. So let's check it out. 815 is my guess here. What will cheese be rated? Get your comment down now if you haven't already. And it's going to be 1,205. Yeah, that definitely makes sense with the Portugal guess, to be fair. And actually, many more games played. I think I was just thrown off by the quality of the opponent. Definitely cheese made guesses that made them seem very good. So yeah, no diss to cheese there. But without the profile outlines, definitely makes this a lot harder. And 1,205 is definitely respectable. Well, it's higher than me right now, so it's definitely a respectable score. I think I would have had trouble beating cheese in the game, I think. But there you have it. So do let me know how you guys did in the comments. I think a lot of the times I was quite influenced by poor opponents, but next time I should really just focus more in on exactly the clues that someone misses, that someone has, and all that kind of it. Now guys, if you want to submit your own one of these, you can just DM it to me with the profile outlines obscured and with the profile link in the description. Now I can't promise I'll get to it because I already probably have like 10 more to get through so far, but you can always, I won't stop you from submitting it if you want to. Yeah, I thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video. Give it a like if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the video very soon. Catch you later.